I didn't marry you to suffer. I want a wife who can take care of me, not one drowning in problems." Without another word, he walked out of her life. Hello, welcome and welcome back. Remember to hit the like button and subscribe for more uplifting stories. Now, sit tight, relax, and enjoy. The night the phone rang, Blessing's life changed forever. It was a cold, rainy night in Lagos. Thunder rumbled across the sky as she sat in her father's luxurious mansion. The air smelled of polished wood and the faint scent of jasmine from the garden. She was reviewing business reports in her father's study, a large room lined with bookshelves and framed family photos. Her father, Chief Obi, had built a powerful business empire. Everyone in the city respected him. He was known as a man of wisdom, kindness, and great wealth. Blessing was his only child, and he adored her. He taught her everything about business, how to make wise decisions, treat people with respect, and never give up. Because of him, she was not only smart, but also strong. She had a perfect life, a successful career, a loving husband named Emeka, and a future that seemed bright. But that night, her world changed. The phone rang sharply, breaking the quiet. Blessing's heart pounded as she picked it up. It was her father's personal assistant. His voice trembled. "Madam, Chief Obi collapsed during a meeting. He is in the hospital." Her hands shook. Without thinking, she grabbed her car keys and rushed into the stormy night. The rain poured heavily, blurring her vision as she drove. Her heart felt heavy with fear. At the hospital, the smell of disinfectant filled her nose. The doctor spoke in low, serious voices. "Your father has a rare and aggressive illness," the head doctor said. "We will try our best." But the words hung in the air like a curse. Blessing refused to give up. She spent all her time by her father's side. She traveled to different countries, looking for the best doctors and treatments. She poured millions into his care, hoping for a miracle. At home, her husband Emeka grew impatient. He once loved her deeply, but as Blessing focused on saving her father, Emeka changed. One evening, while she sat by her father's bedside, Emeka called. His voice was cold. "How long will this continue, Blessing? I'm tired of living like I don't exist." Tears filled her eyes. "He's my father, Emeka. I can't leave him like this." "I'm your husband," he snapped. "You're forgetting me." Her heart broke. She tried to balance her marriage and her father's health, but nothing seemed to work. Months passed. Chief Obi grew weaker. The strong, proud man who once ruled the business world was now a shadow of himself. When he passed away, Blessing felt like her whole world had shattered. She thought Emeka would comfort her. Instead, he grew colder. One day he came home, tossed his wedding ring on the table, and said, "I didn't marry you to suffer. I want a wife who can take care of me, not one drowning in problems." "I can't live like a beggar," he said coldly. "I'm leaving." Blessing begged him to stay. She reminded him of their vows, how they promised to love each other no matter what. But Emeka only laughed. "Love can't feed me, Blessing. I deserve better." The day after her father's burial, Blessing stood in his office. It was silent and cold without him. She had promised to protect his empire, but she had no idea the people he trusted most had already begun to destroy it. Her father's closest business partners, the men he treated like brothers, were the first to betray her. While she was caring for her father, they had stolen millions from the company. They forged documents, sold assets, and emptied the bank accounts. Blessing only realized the truth when the bank called. "Your father's account is overdrawn," the manager said. Her heart pounded. That's impossible. But it was true. Everything her father built was disappearing before her eyes. She tried to stop the damage, but the betrayal ran deep. Lawyers, accountants, even some family members had turned against her. Blessing fought hard, but it was too late. Within 6 months, the empire her father spent his whole life building was gone. The mansion was seized. The businesses collapsed, and her bank accounts were frozen. Emeka didn't wait long. Within weeks, he married a rich widow. The city gossiped about how quickly he moved on, but Blessing was too heartbroken to care. Homeless and abandoned, she packed a small suitcase. There was no one left to turn to. As she left Lagos, she promised herself one thing: she would rise again. And when she did, no one would ever break her heart again. Blessing arrived in Abuja with nothing but a worn-out suitcase and broken dreams. For weeks, she slept on a church floor. Each night, she cried herself to sleep, wondering if life would ever be kind again. One day, as she sat under a tree with an empty stomach, an older woman approached her. The woman had kind eyes and a warm smile. "My child," she said softly, "why are you crying?" Blessing wiped her tears and told her everything: how she lost her father, her husband, and everything she owned. The woman listened patiently. When Blessing finished, the woman touched her shoulder. "You are stronger than you know," she said. "Don't let this be the end of your story." The woman's name was Mama Kemi. She offered Blessing a small room in her home and gave her a simple job, selling akara by the roadside. At first, Blessing felt ashamed. She had once lived in a mansion, and now she was frying bean cakes. But Mama Kemi's words stayed with her. "You must fight for your destiny," she said. Blessing worked hard. Each day she saved a little money. She had lost everything once, but she would never lose hope again. And in that small roadside stall, a new chapter of her life began. Months passed, and Blessing's hands grew rough from frying akara under the hot Abuja sun. Life was hard, but for the first time in a long while, she felt a quiet peace. Mama Kemi treated her like a daughter, offering words of wisdom and kindness every day. One evening as they closed the stall, Mama Kemi said, "Blessing, I see something special in you. You are meant for more than this." Blessing sighed. "I lost everything, Mama. How can I start again?" Mama Kemi smiled. "Great trees grow from small seeds. You've already started." Those words planted a seed of hope in Blessing's heart. That night, she sat under the moonlight with a notebook and wrote down her dreams. She still remembered everything her father taught her about business: how to spot opportunities, build connections, and never give up. The next morning, she made a decision. She would save every kobo and build something of her own. With Mama Kemi's blessing, Blessing started preparing special akara with secret spices her mother once taught her. The taste was unique, crispy outside, soft inside, with a rich, savory flavor. Soon, people traveled from other neighborhoods just to taste her akara. Blessing saved every profit she made. She worked harder than she ever had in her life. Waking up before dawn and sleeping late at night, each day her dream grew bigger. One day, a sleek black car stopped by her stall. A tall, elegant woman stepped out. Her name was Mrs. Ahmed, the owner of a famous restaurant chain in Abuja. "I've heard about your akara," Mrs. Ahmed said, tasting a piece. Her eyes widened with delight. "This is the best I've ever had." Blessing's heart raced as Mrs. Ahmed continued, "I want to invest in you." If you can create a menu as special as this, I will help you open your own restaurant. Tears filled Blessing's eyes. For the first time in years, it felt like the universe was giving her a second chance. With Mrs. Ahmed's support, Blessing opened a small restaurant called Blessing's Kitchen. It wasn't grand, but it was hers. The scent of her delicious meals filled the air, drawing crowds every day. She poured her heart into every dish: jollof rice with smoky flavors, peppered fish, and her signature akara. Customers loved her food, but they also admired her strength and kindness. Blessing didn't just work hard, she worked smart. She remembered how her father treated his workers with respect, so she did the same. Her staff became like family, and her restaurant became a place where people felt at home. Within 2 years, Blessing's Kitchen expanded across Abuja. Wealthy politicians, celebrities, and business moguls all became loyal customers. Blessing's name spread beyond Nigeria, and soon, investors from abroad wanted to partner with her. Through it all, Blessing remained humble. She never forgot the pain of losing everything or the kindness Mama Kemi showed her. She made sure to help struggling women, offering them jobs and sponsoring their children's education. But despite her success, there was one thing missing: love. One evening, after a long day at work, Blessing visited Mama Kemi. By now, Mama Kemi was older, her hair gray, but her eyes still shone with wisdom. "I'm proud of you, my child," she said, squeezing Blessing's hand. "But your heart still aches. What is it?" Blessing sighed. "I have everything: wealth, success, but no one to share it with." Mama Kemi smiled knowingly. "When your heart is ready, love will find you again." A month later, while attending a charity event, Blessing met a man named Tunde. He was kind, patient, and hardworking. Everything Emeka was not. At first, Blessing guarded her heart. She was afraid to trust again. But Tunde showed her that love could be gentle and true. He never cared about her wealth. He loved her for the woman she was: strong, kind, and brave. Within a year, they married in a simple but beautiful ceremony. Blessing felt like she had found not just love, but peace. Together, they welcomed 2 beautiful children, a boy and a girl. Her heart, once broken, now overflowed with joy. 6 years after losing everything, Blessing returned to Lagos. But this time, she was not the broken woman Emeka abandoned. She arrived in a private jet with her husband and 2 children. The city buzzed with news of her success. People whispered in awe. The woman, who had once been left with nothing, was now one of the wealthiest entrepreneurs in the country. Blessing wasn't there to show off. She came to give back. She opened a foundation in her father's name to support young women in business. She built schools and hospitals, ensuring that no one else would suffer the way she once did. One afternoon, as she toured her new hospital, a familiar voice called out behind her. It was Emeka. He looked nothing like the proud man who once walked out of her life. His clothes were worn, his face tired. The rich widow he married had left him after he lost his job. Now, he was barely surviving. "Blessing," he whispered, tears in his eyes. "I made a mistake." Blessing turned to face him. For a moment, the pain of his betrayal returned, but it no longer controlled her. She had grown stronger. "I loved you once, Emeka," she said softly, "but you left me when I needed you most." "I'm sorry," he pleaded. "Please forgive me." Blessing smiled gently. "I forgive you, but my heart has moved on. I found someone who loves me for who I am." As she walked away, Emeka fell to his knees, weeping. He realized too late that the woman he once abandoned had become a queen. Blessing stood on the balcony of her Lagos mansion, watching the sunset. Her children laughed in the garden below, and Tunde's warm hand held hers. She had lost everything once, but she found something greater: strength, love, and purpose. Mama Kemi's words echoed in her heart. You must fight for your destiny. And she did. Her story became a lesson to everyone. No matter how deep you fall, you can rise again. And when you do, the world will never forget your name. Blessing's success spread far and wide. But her journey wasn't without new challenges. With every step forward, new enemies appeared, some disguised as friends. One day, as she reviewed the plans for her new foundation, her phone rang. It was Mama Kemi. My child, Mama Kemi said, her voice heavy with worry. Be careful. Not everyone clapping for you is happy for you. Blessing knew those words were true. Since her return to Lagos, people from her past constantly tried to reconnect, not out of love, but greed. That same week, an old business partner tried to ruin her reputation by spreading lies. Newspapers carried false stories, claiming her wealth came from illegal dealings. Blessing refused to break. She had faced worse and survived. Instead of hiding, she called a press conference and shared her story: the struggles, the loss, and the hard work. Her honesty touched hearts. People admired her even more, and her businesses flourished. Through it all, Tunde stood by her side. When the pressure became too much, he reminded her of who she was: a woman born to survive and succeed. But there was one more storm on the horizon, one she never expected. One evening, as Blessing tucked her children into bed, her assistant rushed in. Madam, she said breathlessly, there's a man downstairs. He says he's your brother. Blessing froze. Her brother, Chijioke, had disappeared after their father died. She had searched for him everywhere, but he was never found. When she reached the living room, her heart pounded. There, sitting on the sofa, was a thin, worn-out man. His face was tired, but his eyes were familiar. Chijioke, she whispered. Tears rolled down his cheeks. Sister, I thought I would never see you again. Blessing ran to him, and they held each other, weeping. For years, Chijioke had struggled on the streets. After their father's death, he had fallen into bad company and lost his way. Blessing didn't judge him. Instead, she welcomed him back into her life. With her support, Chijioke turned his life around, managing one of her foundations to help other lost youths. Her heart felt whole again. One piece of her broken past had been restored. While Blessing's life blossomed, Emeka's life crumbled. The wealthy widow who once pampered him left after his businesses failed. He lost his home and dignity. One rainy night, desperate and ashamed, Emeka stood outside Blessing's kitchen, watching the lights glow warmly. He remembered the nights when Blessing cooked for him with love. Now, he had nothing. He sent a letter to Blessing, begging for a meeting. Days later, she agreed to see him, not out of love, but kindness. When Emeka arrived at her office, he was shocked by her grace. She no longer looked like the woman he abandoned. Her confidence and beauty were radiant. Why did you agree to see me? He asked, his voice shaking. Blessing smiled softly. Because I know what it means to lose everything. Emeka dropped to his knees. I was a fool. I see that now. Can you ever forgive me? I forgave you long ago, Blessing said. But some things can never return to how they were. She handed him an envelope. This is to help you start again. Not because I love you, but because I refuse to be bitter. Emeka cried as she left him behind. Realizing too late that the woman he abandoned had become greater than he ever imagined, Blessing's generosity didn't stop with Emeka. She continued to lift others, building schools and hospitals across Nigeria. Her story became a symbol of hope, that no matter how far you fall, you can rise again. One day she stood before a crowd as the city honored her with an award for her contributions. As she held the golden plaque, her mind drifted to her father. I did it, Papa, she thought, tears shining in her eyes. I kept your dream alive. Tunde and their children cheered from the front row. Love had found her again, stronger and more beautiful than before. But Blessing knew this was only the beginning. Not everyone celebrated her success. Hidden in the shadows, an old enemy watched her rise with envy. It was one of the fraudsters who stole her father's business years ago. His name was Chief Okon, greedy and dangerous. He feared Blessing's influence would expose his crimes. One night, he sent a message to Blessing's office. The letter carried a warning. Stay away from the past, or you will lose everything again. Blessing's heart pounded, but she refused to be afraid. She hired private investigators to uncover the truth about her father's lost empire. What they found shocked her. Evidence that Chief Okon not only stole the business, but also caused her father's illness through poisoning. Blessing knew it was time to fight back. With the evidence in hand, Blessing took the case to court. The media exploded with the scandal as the truth unraveled. Chief Okon tried to threaten her, but Blessing stood firm. I've lost everything once, she told him, and I survived. You can't break me. After months of legal battle, the court ruled in Blessing's favor. Chief Okon was sentenced to prison, and all the stolen properties were returned. Blessing reopened her father's company under a new name, Papa's Legacy Group, ensuring his dream lived on. On the day of the grand opening, Blessing stood on the rooftop of her new headquarters, overlooking the city. She had risen from the ashes and become unstoppable. As the sun set, Tunde joined her, wrapping his arms around her waist. You did it, he whispered. No, Blessing smiled. We did it. Her journey had been painful, but it shaped her into a woman of power and grace. And as long as there were broken dreams in the world, Blessing knew she would keep fighting, lifting others the way she once needed someone to lift her. Because true success wasn't just about rising, it was about helping others rise with you. Tell us in the comments where you're watching from. We treasure every message from you. Until we return, stay kind, stay hopeful, and stay with us.